Good afternoon, Pokésports, and welcome to another tier list video. Now, it's been such a long time since I've actually gone ahead and recorded one of these, but I was bored. I felt like, it was time to complete the mini series that Pokésports started a very long time ago, where we look over the best Pokemon in Sword and Shield with respect to their typing. Today, we're looking at probably considered to be one of the best typings in the game, the Dragon typing. Because there's a lot of Pokemon which are Dragon types, and throughout 8 generations, it's such a condensed type because not that many Pokemon are allowed in the club. So it's kind of cool to see which Pokemon are allowed and how many strong Pokemon there are in that specific category. So let's go ahead and get started. So I feel like we should start off with making a baseline here. Let's pick one of these dragons that we know are S tier. And let's pick one of these dragons that we know are F tier. That way, we kind of know what the range is looking like. So if we're going to go ahead and pick an S tier dragon, looking at every single one of these dragons, there is an undeniable fact that Dragapult changed the game. It's definitely considered one of the best Pokemon that was introduced in Sword and Shield, and I think with its introduction, it's changed the game because it brought back a typing that was, exclusive to Giratina in a way that it fixed all of Giratina's problems, right? They made it very fast and very strong. Giratina was too slow to be good. I mean, it's not awful, but it's not great. So let's go ahead. I'm going to say S tier is going to be our Dragapult, and then now we got to go ahead and pick an F tier one, just so we understand our baselines here. So top of the list, we got Dragapult. I'm going to say bottom of the list is going to have to be a Turtonator. So every other one of these Pokemon here fall between Dragapult and Turtonator. For all you Turtonator fans, I'm so sorry. It's nothing personal. It's just, I don't want to say it's fact, but it's just the thought. So speaking of Dragon types, we all know Dragon types are very good. It's without a doubt that both Dragapult along with Dracovish kind of did have a big impact, especially in early game Sword and Shield. I'm gonna go ahead and put Dracovish on the S tier list. Maybe not S tier, maybe A tier. I feel like Dracovish is a good A tier mon. The reasons why I'm saying it's an A tier mon now that I'm thinking about it is because it started off very good. The whole Mr. Fish meme, everyone loved Dracovish, but it doesn't see play anymore. Currently in the VGC meta, which is the official like competitive meta game of Pokemon, you don't see Dracovish at all. And if you do, it's rare. It's not something that you can expect to be in most games. And it's not something you really have to prepare for when making a team. So that's why I want to go ahead and put an A tier. It's niche. It has a niche. And the niche isn't always, necessarily available, or it's not always necessarily good. So that's kind of why I'm sticking that there. Continuing on with our list, I do want to go ahead and stick both Dialga and Palkia up here in the S tier. The reason why I'm putting both isn't because I'm a shill for BDSP. The reason why I'm putting both in that tier is because both of these do see competitive play, especially in Series 12. I've seen a lot of Palkia running around just to counter the very prevalent Kyogres, and I've seen a lot of Dialgas running around kind of to do the same thing. Kyogre can't touch either one of these mons. These two Pokemon are very good Trick Room setters because they're both so tanky and have such great typing. Steel Dragon, amazing typing. Water Dragon, amazing typing. So they kind of do fit in that restricted format, and it doesn't feel like a wasted restricted spots. Pokemon that would tend to be a wasted restricted spot, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say it's Kyurem. But at least regular Kyurem. I'm gonna go ahead and stick Kyurem in D tier. You've got to be very confused if you're going to use Kyurem as your restricted Pokemon. Not necessarily a terrible Pokemon, but not necessarily phenomenal. And I might change this list around, like, the more that I play with it. Maybe my opinions will change from now until the end of the video. Who knows? But I'm feeling like Kyurem is definitely not anything special. What I will say is Kyurem Black is a solid C tier, and Kyurem White is a solid A tier. Kyurem White's significantly better than Kyurem Black because of the special attack and because of also what it does in the current meta game. You'll actually see Kyurem Whites on teams, and you'll actually see Kyurem Whites paired with Zacians, paired with Groudons. Just kind of covering the weaknesses that those Pokemon have, and also just dealing a lot of damage. It has the freeze dry, which can easily deal with Kyogres. Not easily, but you know, it helps. It hurts. And Kyogre can't really water spout you because you resist it so much and your defenses are so high. So that's a nice solid choice, I feel like, for Kyurem. White and black. Moving along. I mean, I don't want to do all the restricteds. I was going to go ahead and put Zekrom in about the same tier as... These Pokemon essentially do the same thing, in my opinion. They're the same Pokemon with different typings. And I think Reshiram is more of a B. Reshiram fits more of a B tier. I feel like it's good in certain scenarios, but I can't honestly say that Reshiram is as good as Kyurem White or Reshiram is as good as Palkia or Dialga. Like, it wouldn't make me feel comfortable saying that. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick it in B tier. Where do we go now? Do we go to Zygarde? I got Zygarde. We got 3 Zygarde forms here. Zygarde, I mean, honestly, if we're talking about this thing is terrifying. A complete form Zygarde. If this thing is on the field, it's really terrifying. I'm gonna stick it in A. I don't think it's necessarily as good as the other restricted dragons, and you're gonna see a lot of restricted Pokemon on this list because guess what? There's a lot of legendary dragon types. But I do think that if you get this up and it's on the field and you've taken care of the weaknesses, you set up a couple of coils, 1,000 arrows is kind of stupid in a good way. I think this can sweep games, especially with Dynamax reintroduced into the metagame. It's definitely going to do some damage, I feel. So you know what? I'm going to go, I think, comfortably put Zygarde complete form up there. I'm not too keen on 10% Zygarde. I don't think it makes sense in a VDC metagame. Maybe in singles, maybe in like a lower tier singles. And I think Zygarde regular is probably right next to Kyurem. Obviously, you guys know how complete form works. It's that when this thing is on the field, it's kind of got to stall until it turns into this thing, which is why it's so low. This thing attacking on its own is not going to do it justice, for sure. Okay, moving on. See, this is going to hurt me because I really like this Pokemon. In early Sword and Shield meta, if I were to make this video 6 months ago or 8 months ago, I would have told you, hey, this is a solid A tier. I can't say that anymore. The reason why I would have said this is a solid A tier is because Stalwart was so unique and it was in a metagame where like Follow Me Trick Room was so prevalent and there was like really no other way to stop a Hatterene and Didi except for using this. But you know, as the meta evolved and as more Pokemon got introduced, this fell off hard, man. This fell off really hard. I wouldn't say its Kyurem level's bad, but I wouldn't put it up with Reshiram. I'd put a Duraludon somewhere in the C tier. And it hurts me because it was one of the first Pokemon that I really adapted to, and one of the first Pokemon that I played in Sword and Shield, and I thought was good. Just like, you know, the solid Duraludon and Whimsicott lead with like fake tears and then Dynamaxing, going for Max Steel Spike on something. It was great. Moving on, Eternatus. Oof, Eternatus. I think looking at dragons in general, Eternatus is really good. It's really good, but I don't know if I put it in S tier. I don't know if I'm confident enough to put it in S tier. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the A tier. But I want to put it at the top of the A tier just because I think that Eternatus does really well in a Dynamax meta because you have Dynamax Cannon. And also it's a very good typing against Zacian because you can go for the Flamethrower. And, you know, it's also great typing against Kyogre, which are the 2 biggest Pokemon in the current meta. Doesn't really care about things like Incineroar. It's very tanky. You can build it tanky, go with Cosmic Power setups. It could definitely get the job done, I think. It's between S and A. If there was a tier between S and A, it would go there, in my opinion. Moving on, we have Druddigon. Drudditrash. You going right next to Turtonator. Poor Druddigon. I think I don't have to give an explanation to that. Druddigon just doesn't do what other dragons do. It's a mono-type dragon. Doesn't really get much done. I will say Rayquaza. Rayquaza has been seeing a resurgence in the competitive metagame, but I feel like it's really niche, right? Rayquaza is really good because if you protect it and you get airstreams going, then you got some stab airstreams with Life Orb. It does a lot of damage. But I don't think... I think it's just Rayquaza fans trying to relive the days of Mega Rayquaza, and it's just not happening. So I don't really see it being, you know, better than Kyurem or better than Eternatus. It's definitely not feeling that. So I think B is a solid tier. Like, you can make it work. It's not gonna do phenomenally, but you can do something with it. Garchomp has been, for many years, considered to be one of the best pseudo legends in the game. But I don't think it does what it has to do in this generation. Like, Garchomp is really struggling this generation because the problem with Garchomp is that you look at Garchomp, you're like, why don't I just use Landorus? It's a Garchomp with Intimidate and a ground immunity. You know, it's like, what's the point of using Garchomp when Landorus exists? So I'm gonna go ahead and put in the B tier, but a top B tier. I want to put it above Reshiram on that. Guzzlord, yikes. Guzzlord is kind of yikes. That's a D. I don't see Guzzlord doing much, and I don't think Guzzlord will be. I mean, Guzzlord did see some competitive play earlier on this year. I do remember that. I might change my mind on Guzzlord later on, but I think Guzzlord deserves a solid D tier. Right next to, well, actually, Flygon. I'm sorry. Flygon is worse Garchomp, and Garchomp isn't that good. Okay, Flygon could be the leader of the F tier. I think that's pretty respectable. There's not much Flygon can do. This generation did give it Dragon Dance, but that didn't help it at all. Right next to Flygon could go Altaria. Altaria really only saw use when its Mega was around, but now that its Mega's gone, it's just absolute garbage. We're sticking to the bottom of the list now a little bit. Dragonite does see competitive play. The fact that it has Inner Focus and the fact that it doesn't get access to Aqua Jet makes it a very good candidate for being alongside a Colossal, for example. So I think Dragonite can honestly be considered like a top B tier. Like, I think Dragonite and Garchomp can both fit on teams if you build the teams around them. Kind of same thing goes for Hydreigon. Hydreigon is a very unique typing. Of course, Fairy typing is so prevalent, and the introduction to Fairy type really knocked that Pokemon down. I'd probably put it under Rayquaza. It really knocked that Pokemon down. So I think, unfortunately, Hydreigon got the short end of the stick in the current meta. But hey, what can you do? Fairies are a little bit OP, and doesn't look like that's changing anytime soon. Naganadel is another one. Naganadel, I feel like, can be very good. I've actually run Naganadel somewhat successfully with like a Sludge Wave Bisharp Assurance thing. Like, you'd Sludge Wave, then go for the Bisharp Assurance, just do the double damage Dark move stab. It was amazing. So I think you can make a niche with it. You can make something happen. Moving on with the list. What do we got here? What's left? What are these slim pickings we have? I'm feeling like nothing else here is S tier, unless I'm crazy. A Kingdra, I will say, is a solid A. Kingdra is kind of a staple to rain teams, and I think that it's not being used as much as it could be. And also, the fact that Max Airstream exists with Kingdra now just kind of gives it that very fast Max Airstream user that a lot of rain teams could use. So I think Kingdra is like a nice little A tier. A Salamence, I'll put Salamence in C. Back when Salamence had Mega, at least you had the Mega to help it with, you know, the boosted flying type moves. That would have been amazing if that existed now, but sadly it doesn't. So I think Salamence is going to stick to C. I don't really see Salamence seeing a lot of play, but maybe you can make something happen with it in singles. Next we have... Yikes. I mean, I don't think that Giratine is as bad as Kyurem. By no means. So I think both Giratina forms, because I guess you can kind of use them interchangeably. They don't change too much in general. They really only change like a couple of points get swapped around in the stats, but nothing too drastic. So I think both Giratinas can go there. D tier is gonna be full with a couple of these mons. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to stick my friend Dragalge in D tier. Dragalge doesn't see any play. It does get access to adaptability though, right? So you'd think that it would be better than it is, but it's not a thing. And also something worth mentioning is that a lot of these Pokemon, and I didn't mention this at the beginning of the video, but a lot of the Pokemon that you see here are under the assumption, because this is a Best Dragons in Sword and Shield video, so a lot of these are under the assumption that home is going to open up with BDSP, and the Pokemon in BDSP will be able to get transferred over to Sword and Shield, because why else would they have home in BDSP? So there might not be Pokemon in the game right now that are available in BDSP, but will become available later on this month. Latias and Latios. Latias saw a lot of play in series, what was it, 9 or 10? In series 10. Saw a lot of play. In fact, I think the top 3 teams in the month of October or September, it was one of those months, one of those autumn months, had Latias on the team. So I think Latias is a solid A. It doesn't see a lot of uses right now. So I won't put it like AA, like top of the A, but I think it's a solid A. And Latios, it kind of does the same thing. But Latias is just tankier. But you can make an argument for either one of those. They're very unique in the sense that Dragon's psychics aren't very that common. I guess just to be partial, I'll put Latias in B tier and Latias in A tier. Flapple, I'm sorry. Flapple's gonna get an F. You failed the test, Flapple. I'm so sorry. Alolan, Exeggutor, I'll give you a D. I mean, some people make things happen with Trick Room. I'm not one of those people, but it can be done. Noivern, same thing. You can do Boom Burst strats with this thing. Appleton, you're going to join your friend Flapple here. I think both Appleton and Flapple were kind of a disappointment. They were the first unique grass dragon types, at least that I can remember. Never mind, I just looked at another one, Exeggutor. They were, I mean, in general, grass dragon is not a very common type, so people expected them to be better than they are, and they're just not. Tyrantrum, another D tier. Tyrantrum is another cool typing with the rock dragon, but Tyrantrum doesn't get the job done either. It's too slow and doesn't tank enough hits to warrant its speed. Haxorus, though. Haxorus can see a little bit of play. I think Haxorus is a solid. I'll give Haxorus right about there. I think Haxorus with Mold Breaker EQs is like the Rotom killer. And in metas where Rotom are popular, Haxorus can take over. It also has a very disgustingly high attack stat in comparison to, like, you know, even legendary dragon types. Goodra's another situation where it's like, it's not a bad dragon, but it's not a great dragon. So we'll put it right there in the middle as well. I wouldn't say Goodra is as good as, you know, Garchomp and Latios, but it's definitely around here with the Haxoruses and the Salamences. Dracozolt saw so much play. It was even an archetype, pretty much, in early VGC in Sword and Shield. I think with that fact, I want to give this Pokemon a little bit more respect because Dynamax does make this Pokemon shine very much. And in metas where you can Dynamax a Hustle Pokemon and completely ignore the fact that you miss 20% of the time, makes it not that bad. I'm gonna stick it in B tier. Like, I feel like if I got Dracozolt into Salamence, Dracozolt wins it. It's kind of like my reasoning behind that. Drampa, I wish you were better, my friend. Is it F tier though? It's not F tier. Drampa is D tier. Drampa is the only slow dragon on this list that even warrants a mention. So I think I'll put it in D tier. You can make it, but it's probably not a great Pokemon to bring if you're trying to win every single match. Reggie Drago, another B tier. Reggie Drago can be good. It's very one-dimensional, right? You only really have dragon moves. You only really do one thing. You go for the dragon water spout, and then you hope for the best. It does a lot of damage if you're able to manipulate speed control to be in your favor while you do that. So I think that it can be better. It's definitely not the best, but I'm feeling it. And then we have Kommo-o. Kommo-o saw a little bit of play this year too. When I was participating in the Joe UX9 championship in Manhattan, Kommo-o saw some play. It even won, like, I think second place by Brady Smith. It won second place. So I think Kommo-o is not terrible. It's definitely not amazing, but it's better than every other dragon below it. So I think this is a pretty well-defined list. I know I said I might change my mind throughout, but maybe Kingdra. Maybe I'm putting Kingdra too high. That's the one thing I'm looking at, and it seems a little out of place, is Kingdra. How about I move Kingdra down to top of B? That way we kind of settle that fact. We have very few S tier, a lot of middle tier, and, you know, kind of fewer F tiers, which makes the list kind of, it looks like a good list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Of course, all this information and all of my thoughts are my own personal thoughts. You guys have differing ones, and that's okay. So please feel free to criticize my list down below. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you hate. Tell me what you would change. Tell me what you think the best dragon type is. Anyway, I'm Kevin, Pokésports. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys again tomorrow for another video. Peace out.